folks, Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Current blog posts we want to share with you, of course, review the latest in social media and technology. This is a product I've been super excited for. It's amzn.to brought to us, and thanks to amzn.to, check out all their wonderful products review on the Chris Voss Show and their website. This is the Samsung Galaxy S4, the long-awaited successor to the Galaxy S3 that was very popular for Galaxy Samsung. Now, the device is pretty freaking awesome. I love it so far. It's one of the few 1080p Androids out there, and judging by its benchmark speed and everything else, it's likely the best Android on the market. And we'll get into some of that, what it's about. Let's quickly talk about the specs. Now, the beautiful part about the Samsung S4 is it pretty much has the same exact body, thickness, size, and everything else that were in the S3. In fact, you can see the S3 here. What's really cool about it is it fits very easily into some of the devices that I have, like cases, and I've got like a backup power charger that this thing fits in. I think it's a little bit thinner on the thickness by just like 0.03 or 04 something, and I think it's a little thinner on the width. And so what's really great is you have cases and other devices you have for your S3, you can utilize them with the S4. So let's take a look at what the S4 is all about. Now, all the carriers should pretty much have this. I believe Verizon's going to have it at the end of May, and I think Sprint or some other people have it already. It's pretty much going with all the major carriers from what I can see. Now, you've got the body dimensions on it are 5.38 in height, 0.275 in width, and 0.31 in thickness, with a weight of 4.59 ounces. Feels very light. It's very comfortable to the hand. The body's changed a little bit. We'll get into that in a second. Now, it's got a Super AMOLED capacitive touchscreen with 16.7 million colors, 1080p screen, 5-inch screen. That's really crazy. They basically fit a 5-inch screen that's a little bit bigger, as you can see here, on the Samsung S3 into the same body. So this is pretty freaking cool. It has a 441 ppi pixel density, which is pretty crazy. The HTC One has a little bit more, but both have really good 1080p screens. It has Gorilla Glass 3 in it, and it's got the Samsung TouchWiz UI, which I really enjoy, and this thing is really feature rich. There's so much stuff here, we can't even get through it in one video, I'm sure. There is an expandable memory card, and of course, micro SD up to 64 gigabytes. It comes in different models. You can get it in 16, 32, or 64 gigabyte models with up to 2 gigabytes of RAM inside of them. And let's see, it has a 13 megapixel camera out the back, which is amazingly good. We really, really like it in the tests we've done with it so far. It has all this crazy stuff you can do with the camera, all this crazy stuff you can do with the screen. We'll get into some of that too. It has 1080p, 30 frames per second video out the front and out the back camera. And then out the front camera, it has a 2 megapixel camera. It's running off of Android OS 4.2.2, the latest that's on the market right now, Jelly Bean. And it has a quad core. It's a 1.9 gigahertz chipset for this device, very, very fast, and it comes with a 2600 milliamp hour battery. So it's definitely designed to give you a lot of battery for what you need to be able to do. I do notice if I'm using it routinely, there's a lot of battery burn, about 25% more than most phones, but you've got a 1080p screen, and of course I'm using everything on it. I'm using the Bluetooth, the notification stuff in the drop down, we'll show you here in a second, and everything else. Now, they've added a very feature-rich UI to this, and I've always loved the UI on the Samsung. I love the quick settings you can easily do, etc., etc. But look at all the stuff they've added onto this sucker, and if you use it all, you're definitely going to be burning your battery up fairly quickly. You may not want to have it turned on all at the same time. They've added a blocking mode to the Samsung where you can control notifications coming in and out. That's great to have. They have that on the Samsung Galaxy camera. Power saving mode, of course, was there. They have easy screen mirroring here if you want to mirror the screen. They've got multi-window. If you're familiar with multi-window, it creates 2 different windows on the screen, either in portrait or landscape mode. It's pretty freaking crazy. S-Beam button where you can easily start S-Beaming, NFC chip. You can activate the NFC chip. And they've got features here called Air View and Air Gesture. We'll show you this in a bit. Driving mode, which basically will speak out your text to you as you drive. Smart Stay, which kind of keeps an eye on you and your eyes on the screen. We have Smart Scroll, two different menus for Smart Scroll. One of where you tilt the device, one where it's supposed to follow your eyes or just nothing. You got airplane mode and sync. So they have a very feature-rich UI that they have in the Galaxy Samsung. I really like it. One of the things that my favorite things to do is the Samsung S Voice. It's much better than Siri and runs circles around being able to understand what I'm saying and what I'm doing. I have a hard time finding anything comparable to that on the HTC One, although it tends to default to Google now when you use the same commands. So you can use that if you want. I like the HTC One phone. There's also a feature called Group Play where you can take and play videos and games between a group of you. And all that. I guess it only lasts for about 30 minutes, I guess, from the instructions that we're seeing. But the cool part about it is it has a very big, beautiful screen, very feature-rich stuff that you can take and have in the device. We'll get to some of this here in a second. And plenty of stuff that you can take and do and customize. I don't think there's a UI any better than the Samsung UI in my mind, the TouchWiz. And it just does a great job. There's so much stuff in here. We could go on for hours talking about what's in here. So let's just name off some of the stuff that you can take and do with this. Now, some of the toys and features they put in here, like Air Gesture and stuff, it's fairly limiting, where it only works in certain applications that are designed for it, such as you have to use the Samsung browser to use many of the different items as opposed to Chrome or other things. I've heard that some of it will work in Flipboard or will be working in Flipboard, but it's kind of limited a bit in what features it'll work in. But I'll just give you a rundown here. There's Air Gesture, Quick Glance, Air Jump, Air Browse, Air Move, Air Call Accept. Some of these are different things so you can wave your hands across the device and be able to take and activate certain things. You can go from left to right, top to bottom, and everything else. You can read more details about this on the internet. There's Air View, where you can have information preview, progress preview, speed dial preview, web page magnifier, I should say. And basically you can hold your finger over a picture or something along the lines on the internet, and it will take and give you a preview blow up. It's okay. It's kind of an interesting little thing. It definitely takes a little bit of talent to get it right. Same thing with the tilting view and everything else that goes into the device, where you have to tilt and it has to watch your eye just right. It took me a little while to kind of get the hang of it. Not very intuitive, but it does work, and it's pretty cool if I can master it. So we'll give myself some time to take and do that. Okay, so along with the S4 and several apps that you can take and get that come with it, there's, of course, the Group Play. They have what's called the optical reader, and this is a special camera device that's designed to read text and QR codes, which is very interesting. And I believe it does some translation. You can see the translation up in here, where you can switch it from different translational areas, so you can read stuff on signs if you're traveling, etc., have them translated for you. Pretty interesting stuff. The S Health is pretty interesting. This is a thing that keeps track of how much you walk and exercise during the day, how much you're moving, etc. It's pretty interesting in what they've taken and developed. It can help manage your health, fitness goals, check your progress, keep track of your overall health. Very interesting little app that comes with it. You've got your translator that's here, and your S-Memo. Your S-Memo is great for doing memos, and your translator is good for doing translations. There's some Samsung apps specifically that they have. And there's also a thing called Story Album that's very cool, where you can create albums and special moments to keep them in place in your timeline. They've really put in it seems like everything in the kitchen sink into the Samsung Galaxy S4. There's so much stuff here. It's taken me a day just to kind of play around with it and really kind of get an idea as to all the different features, functions, and different ways that I can take and utilize it. are. Really cool in how they've thought things out. In fact, watch this. Normally you can see this across the screen. Now I can see all my power buttons to be able to control them in the quick edit menu very quickly and easily. You can even edit these if you want for the notification manual. They really thought of everything at Samsung, and I'm always very impressed with their UI. It's really freaking crazy what they put into it. Okay, so let's take a look at the design of the Galaxy S4. Now, it does seem a whole lot more solid than the Galaxy S3. It's still got that plastic effect to it. A lot of people seem to complain about it, but I really don't mind it. The Samsung phone is so feature-rich and so UI-rich, and it's one of the fastest phones on the market and everything else. It seems silly that you turn a blind eye to it because the outer shell is made of plastic. It's made of very hard, durable plastic, and actually, when I've dropped the phone, sometimes on the back, the thin shell has actually helped with the bounce, to give the bounce effect to the phone, if you will, if that makes any sense. Now, across the top, we have a whole slew of sensors. You can kind of see them here. I think it's about 4 or 5. There's one that watches when you swipe past the screen or when you swipe down or up. You can see it activating there. As I move my finger around. There's also the front-facing camera that's here, and so you have that. You have your front-facing speaker for phone calls. Down below, you have a capacitive touch screen for both menu and back buttons. And you have a home button per se. I really wish this was capacitive, but it works for me. Now, they've made the S4 a little bit more square. This used to be very rounded, but what's really cool about it is it fits into all the different cases that I have for the S3, and it also fits into some of the battery packs I have for the S3. So it's really awesome. They made everything fit into the same square. Now, on the back, we have your rear-facing camera, of course. We have your lamp flash, which does a great job of taking photos. Much bigger camera eye, and probably because it's a 13 megapixel in the back than the S3 had. You've got your speaker here. Across the top, now this is pretty cool. Across the top, we have an IR blaster. That's what this thing is right here that you see. This is for controlling your TV. Pretty interesting. I'll show you that here in a second. There's a microphone hole and earphone jack. Down the left-hand side, we have your volume rocker button. And down the bottom, we have a microphone and your sync port charge. And on the right side, we have a power button. Now, you do still have the very thin pull-off back. And like I say, it's really not a big deal. This back actually does some shock absorption in a drop if it's dropped in the right place. The back is extremely solid. It is a plastic build, but it's a very solid, rock-solid build. This outer part actually fooled me a little bit. For a little while, we thought it was metal, and taking a much closer look at it and pounding on it, we determined it's a very super hard plastic that comes across as metal, looks aluminum, but it definitely feels more solid than the thin plastic they had on the sides of the S3. Really, for my money, it doesn't matter. I've had several of the Samsungs. I'm very impressed with their feature-rich UI, and it's never been a problem for me how they build their phones. The quality is in the guts, in the programming, and everything else. And it's a solid phone. It's not like it's a plastic phone that's going to just melt on you one day in the sun, or it's going to break apart, like some cheap plastic toy. It definitely is built well and holds together well. Now, let me show you how the IR blaster works. And like I said, it has a very solid feel to it. I like how it's much thicker on the sides and it feels more comfortable in your hand. So let's talk about how we do the IR blaster. One of the things that this thing has is what's called Watch On. And what this does is it's a programmable remote that's inside your Samsung. It comes with the software, and it uses that IR hole there to take and control your TV and everything else. So you can actually go through this and control your TV, rooms, everything else, your volume up, volume down. You can program your source of what you like to see. You can program your you can program which channels you're using, whether you're using over the air or Dish Network, etc., etc. Whoever your provider is, you can program in. And you can literally control the TV with your phone. How many phones do you know that can do that? So, really cool thinking and work that they put into the Samsung Galaxy S4. I really like it. It does not feel like a plasticky phone to me in any sense of the word. It feels very solid and very comfortable. So I really like it. It works for me. So I totally endorse the plasticky nature of the Samsung, if you will. It's a very solid build phone, and for what's inside of it comparatively to other phones on the market, you got to be crazy to ignore this phone. Okay, so here's what's amazing about the Geekbench 2 benchmarking score on the Samsung Galaxy S4. I'd heard it was only 3,000. It's up in the 3,200s. This is the second or third score that we've gotten off this, which is pretty freaking fast. To give you an example, the HTC One comes in at 2,700 on the benchmark, and the iPhone comes in at 1,500. You can see the scores here, and the great thing about this is you can take and pause this as we go through it, and you can take and see the individual scores. But very super speedy score, the highest score ever I think there is on any Android or phone device that there is. Literally more than double what you have with the iPhone, which is pretty freaking amazing. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all the benchmarks we normally do in some reviews. We'll do that on a separate video because we could be here for a long time with all the features this has. So what we're going to take a look at is this is the AnTuTu benchmark 3.3 version. You can see here it's got an incredible, awesome score of 24,793. Once again, just really high scoring. It's a 1.9 gigahertz processor. I mean, I don't know of any other phone that's got a 1.9 in it. I think everything is 1.7 right now. So pretty awesome score that way. Now, screen-wise, video-wise, and everything else, it's got an awesome, beautiful screen, especially for gaming and sound and everything else. And the responsiveness is really, really good. This is one of the few games that I like, but I have trouble playing on some mobile phones. But the responsiveness of the S4 is pretty freaking awesome, and it's one of the few things that I can enjoy playing the game on, if you will. So, really beautiful screen. Of course, you have 1080p. Really fun to watch movies, games, and everything else on. Just a really, really beautiful screen. Okay, now, so the camera on this thing is feature-rich. If you saw the presentation of the Samsung Galaxy S4 announcement, they built so much stuff in here. It's crazy what they built in here. So you have a very rich, customizable, feature-rich experience with the S4. You're going to hear me keep saying that pretty much all the time. It's very easy to quickly get through their menus of switching cameras around, going through different settings, being able to have verbal commands to take photos, etc., etc. You just full control of everything and anything when it comes down to it. I like how they've taken and merged the camera and video. You can see here you can adjust all these different things into the device, and then you've got your basics with the video there, and GPS tags, review, off, white balance, just tons of features that you can take and utilize with the S4. Now, they've got some other cool things that we saw in the Samsung Galaxy camera that I use that I really love. These are like preset modes that you can take and enjoy. Different things like sports, fast movements, panoramas. There's the eraser feature, which you saw in the announcement for the S4, if you saw it, where you can erase moving objects from your backgrounds. Rich tones HDR, which comes out really good. Animated photo. This is pretty neat, where you can control the animation or things moving in a photo. Drama shots. So if you want to create a drama shot like you see here, of something moving left to right or right to left across the screen, you can take and do so. Sound and shot, which is really cool. You can enrich your pictures by adding background sound. Best face, you can pick the best face out of a crowd or out of a crowd picture that you're taking. Best photo, beauty face, and of course the easiest one is auto, where you can take and do the auto part. And we're actually trying to do something here. Let's see if this will do this for me. There we go. You can see all the different ones that they have. So you've got your camera here. You've got your video here. You've got the ability to get into your gallery here. Let's talk about some of the different things here. There's auto night detection that they have on it. You can, of course, control your flash. This is really great. I use this from time to time. It's voice control for different things. So you can set up voice control for not only incoming calls and everything else you saw there, but for the camera to say what you want to have said. You can control the recording mode for MMS, slow motion, fast motion. These are actually really cool features, these fast motion, slow motion to use. I've used them on the Note, and they're really cool. If you've got like dogs or something, you can make them do that. You can see here we've got different share features where you can automatically share shots, buddy share, everything else. It's really amazing, the stuff that Samsung really puts some thought into their camera work. And I've been really impressed with it, especially with the Samsung Galaxy camera. They brought most of that over here to the S4. Now, let's take a look at some of the pictures it does take. In video, in complete darkness, these pictures were taken on this video, and then the next one you'll see, this is complete and utter darkness. The lamp on it is incredibly bright and does a great job at lighting up the whole room. You can even hear me say, "Wow, I'm really surprised at how bright it is." So it's a very bright lamp. Here's a photo taken in complete and utter darkness. It's coming great with the focus. I think it did like a double shot on me where it flashed the flash and got the focus, and then it shot the flash again and got the picture. I'm pretty sure that's what did take place. Now these are in well-lit situations. And we're just taking a look at some color here with the video. Video's really good. Of course, it's 1080p, 30 frames per second, and the colors come in extremely rich. It's got a beautiful color grid to the color dynamic, color grid, whatever you want to call it, to the Samsung S4. So let's take a look at, here's a picture that we're seeing here of the same thing. So we're seeing some of the colors. Now, the 13 megapixel is pretty freaking amazing. Look at this. You can see really good picture of my dog, but I want to show you something. When you zoom in really close, can you see that? You can see little drool spots or dirt or, doggy drool spots or something. Who knows what it is on my floor. Is that freaking crazy or what? So you can zoom in this big picture, and it just takes incredible shots. 13 megapixel, you can't really beat it. Well, I mean, you could beat it if you had a DSLR, but when it comes to mobile phones, really great stuff. It's picking up all the dirt on my floor. So it's got a great camera to it. It seems to work in all different cases, low light and everything else. Comes across real well. This is a low light shot that we took. You can see Abby came in pretty well in her look. You can tell it's a low light shot from the way it came out, but we're still very well in focus. It's a great picture and everything else. So thumbs up on the camera. Really love the camera, and it's very feature rich and customizable. Okay, so all in all, we really like the Samsung Galaxy S4. It's a very impressive phone. You can get it from amzn.to, our friends at amzn.to. Tell them Chris Voss sent you. Chris Voss tested, Chris Voss approved. We really love the phone. It's the best phone on the Android market in my mind, especially with the feature-rich UI that comes with it. You just really can't compete with it. It's got the 13 megapixel camera. It, for my money, is the best mobile phone on the market right now. Be sure to check it out. Go to their website and watch for further reviews we'll be doing of the Samsung Galaxy S4.